Okay, my name's Zakashi guys, and in this video here, we're going to be talking about some new mechanics we could see in the 6th anniversary. Now, I need to specify what I mean, because when you think of mechanics, you're probably thinking of things that units kits could have. So directly implementing into units kits, making it an individual thing. But often in the anniversary, the developers decide to add something that would spice up PvP as a whole. For example, the tackle mechanic, it wasn't always accessible in the game. We also have the quick attack and the quick dash. Those things weren't originally in the game, they were something that would develop as the game progressed. But looking at the game right now, I think the game has moved into a state where the units have too much of an impact on PvP. Now naturally they should, but of course if it's the main reason why you're winning for 99% of games as well, the game can't be that good. It shouldn't be a thing where you're getting carried. There still needs to be an element of skill, and I think with the units getting more and more overpowered, the skill ceiling is honestly just decreasing. So the only way to stop the skill ceiling consistently decreasing would be to implement some new mechanics that could change the whole experience playing Dragon Ball Legends. More so, just before I get into this video, I want to add that the game already has tutorials. So naturally, those tutorials aren't going to stay the same way they are. As they continuously improve the game and add more to the game, we'll get more in-game tutorials, which is why I feel it's very likely in this anniversary, the 6th anniversary, we will get some new mechanics, or at least one. Before I get further into this video, I want to promote the Discord server. If you've got anything that you need answered, maybe you got questions for me or questions in general revolving around Legends, I've got some helpers in the Discord server. So if you join and go to the Legends help channel, you can ping the helper role and there'll be someone there to help you based on your request. These guys are not slaves, they're just genuinely good people trying to help you guys that might need any help with Dragon Ball Legends. So if you do need help, join the Discord. But of course, also drop your Chrono Crystal count in the comment section below. We don't have that much time before the anniversary, but I'm doing too much talking. Let's get straight into this video, man. Right, so to improve the game, I looked at what problems already exist in the game or things that might seem as problems. And I think the biggest one currently with the way the units are releasing is the fact that combos are way too long. You're literally being punished and being put in a position where you're unable to play the game. This game is meant to be a live action game where you're literally moving at all times on both sides, but it's looking very turn-based at this point where all these units have cover null and 50 to 80 combos, which is ridiculous. If you get caught in a combo, you won't be able to get out of it until one of these conditions are met. Maybe your unit you're using has a gauge that allows them to break the enemy's combo, such as Super Baby 2, or the unit themselves that's attacking you, they just run out of key, run out of cards. And really and truly, the game's moving more turn-based, and the game's not meant to be turn-based. So to flare up the game, I think a big thing they could add is counters or blocks. Now a lot of units already have this individually. One example I want to bring up, Ultra Super Vegito. Another example that exists in the game, Ultra Gogeta Blue. Those are two units that have something where their gauge allows them to stop a combo either starting or breaking out of it. UGB more so breaking out of it. USV can stop the enemy's combo from starting. With a blast start, he counters it with his dry cards. Those are two examples of unique gauges that allow you to stop a combo from starting or stopping it while it's going on. But if they implemented a whole mechanic that is in the game that allows you to actually block in game, that would be a lot better to stop ridiculous combos. Now this block mechanic shouldn't be something that can be used consistently in the game. There should be intervals where it's available, or there needs to be some sort of condition that can be met to activate it. For example, good timing when an enemy hits a blast start. If you tap this certain button that allows you to block or counter, you'll be able to stop the blast starts going through if they're in a combo. That probably isn't the best way to go about it, but it's just an example of how they could go about it. Another thing that could be implemented is you having a certain amount of blocks in a game, so then you can strategically place your blocks to break out of combos. For example, if they added a block button and you can use 2 per game, you'd be thinking, oh, if I start this combo, then the enemy will just press the block button and they'll be able to stop it straight away. Knowing the enemy can do that would also stop the pay to win gap. A lot of people have high stars because they just spend money on the game, then they can get their units higher starred than yours. If they combo you one time, immediately it's grits, like it's over for you because they just have so high stars. Those mono purple juice teams at 14 stars, like it's really difficult to overcome. So having 2 per game wouldn't be so bad. Most fighting games have this anyway in some way, shape or form, like an evade type thing. I do understand this is a mobile game, but Dragon Ball Legends expectations are actually so high because of how good of a game they've developed. As much as people say they hate the game, this for a mobile game is super high quality and they invest into it so much. So I don't think it's far-fetched or ridiculous that they could add a block or a counter mechanic that's available to literally everybody in the game, in every single game, also including PvE. There could be some downsides to this, of course, course, for example, the person that is paid to win would obviously still benefit off of this because they'd be able to use their blocks too, and it would ultimately drag out games a lot more. So a lot of games might go to more time accounts, which could make the experience of playing PvP a lot worse. But ultimately it depends on how they balance it. Even with the quick attacks and quick dashes, they made a few changes before they finally got it how they wanted it. At the start it did so much damage, then later on it did little damage, but then they balanced it out and they got it to a nice spot where you could use it effectively to get advantages over your opponent. Ultimately I think it'll be a good idea, but let me know what you guys think about the first one I've mentioned. This one could be small, but I think it could make a big difference depending on how they apply it. So you know how you can do quick attacks or quick dashes, so you can end up from long range to close range literally in an instant? They should also make that in reverse, so you can do quick evades. It's not a vanish step, but you can literally go all the way from close range to long range. In doing that, you'd be able to evade certain attacks, for example rising rushes. You could also force the enemy to over tap. If you don't know what I mean by that, it's when the enemy taps the screen when you're close range. In some cases you're able to get vanishes and you force them to be locked in the tap attack animation if they over tap, but even if they single tap you can still get away from them and actually force them into a position where they have to wait out a couple seconds of that animation. Regardless, there's some benefits to it if you've dealt with PvP enough where you're close range and the person tries to tap attack you. It could be super useful, and I think a lot of people will be able to take advantage of it in a very unique way. It will become a very meta move to very much dash back, as you could bait your opponents instead of just the typical sidestepping that people do. Perfect vanish fishing is just super lame. There needs to be more variety in that sense. So if I'm able to dash back all the way, it's super good. Also, with the likes of fighting certain units, I often have to float backwards and then also dash backwards if they try to do a rising rush or an explosive green. Ultra Gohan being the case, and Bardock and Goku, they've literally just polluted the game with explosive greens on Sonfam, making it too easy for them to get a priority. But if I could instantly dash all the way back, I might be able to avoid that. Explosive greens in general are just super overpowered. There needs to be a good counter to it besides from just tapping them or moving forward. I shouldn't have to super engage to avoid an explosive green. I should be able to just move back as well. But if I have to glide back and then dash back or glide all the way back, it's too slow of a process. I need to be able to do it a lot more rapid, and I think this would be something that they could implement quickly and actually have a big impact on PvP, increasing the skill ceiling. Now this is the last one for the video, and it's a bit more technical. It's for the higher branch of players, the guys that really go for god rank or BR60 and above. You might have been in a situation where you hit a move, whether it's a blast arts, a strike arts, maybe you hit blast armor or use the rising rush, and you hit the card but you were facing the wrong way. Sometimes you just be facing the wrong way. I can't explain how situational you have to be to make it occur, but sometimes when you hit a card, you're just facing the wrong way. You're trying to hit the enemy and you're facing the wrong way. So it's something the devs are very aware of because they haven't fixed it since the start of the game. So if it was something that could be applied intentionally, kind of like having Ultra Instinct, or like in a 3D game, like I believe Street Fighter is the case. It might be Street Fighter or Tekken, somebody will correct me anyways. So you know how usually you could move on a horizontal line? If they change the axis, because you could attack in a different direction, instead of just attacking up and back, you'd be able to also attack on the x-axis. I don't know if I've explained that correctly, but if you understand the misdirection thing, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if they added a similar thing where you could intentionally dodge to change the direction that you're in, it could be super interesting. I could see a lot of pro players applying that to their game, and it would actually change up a lot, because imagine you try hit a strike art and the direction you're strike arting, you're hitting the wrong way. So it's similar to how you would vanish and then you end up next to them while they're coming forward. Instead of that just happening unintentionally, you can force it without a vanish step. I think that could be something they could add that would be really interesting. A lot of pro players will take a hold of that and you'll be thinking, damn, he sidestepped me, but not the regular sidestep. He changed the direction that you were facing because they dodged. And I think that would be super cool. Not just on a vanish step type of skill, but it'd have to be something super specific, and your timing would have to be so unique, or you'd have to predict it. You know, like if you're face to face close range and someone does a strike art, you'd have to know they're doing a strike art to mess up that direction without having to do a vanish step. In the same way you predict a vanish step, you could possibly just change the direction that they're facing. I don't know if I've explained this correctly, but a lot of pro players will know exactly what I'm talking about, because it happens in the most niche scenarios. But when it does happen, it's like, oh, why am I facing the wrong way? You understand the process, but for it to happen, you couldn't have predicted it to happen. It just happens in the most inconvenient timings that you could ever think of. Now, I know the video was kind of short and I didn't have many ideas, but each of these ideas are very delicate, and if they were implemented into the game, they could change the game completely, and I don't think they need a lot of ideas anyways, assuming they're watching my videos. But more so, let me know what you guys think about these ideas. I think it would spice up the game a lot, and it would stop people having to rely on their overpowered units, because now they actually have to be good at the game, especially once the highest ceiling of the game adapts these techs. If the game stays at the same skill level but they release more powerful units, it's literally forcing the direction of pay to win. And I don't believe Legends is a pay to win game, but it definitely does favor those who spend money on the game. It's more advantageous to spend money on games that have microtransactions. It would always be the case that that's the case. So let's not act surprised, but you can still get far being a free to play. Ultimately though, you should be rewarded for being good at the game and not punished just because somebody wants to bring out their wallet completely. But of course, there should still be benefits if you do decide to bring out your wallet. Press the subscribe button, man. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. This was an interesting video and I enjoyed producing it. But my name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.